Even with the focus on tariffs and affordability, housing remains a key concern for Canadians. And one of the biggest components of the newly elected Liberal government's campaign platform was a promise to fix Canada's housing crisis.
We are going to build, baby, build.
And part of that Build, Baby, Build promise was a plan to double the rate of home building to 500,000 homes per year within a decade. But experts from the housing industry are divided on which parts of this plan will actually make a difference. A difference meaning making housing more affordable. For a closer look at the construction industry's perspective, we've brought in David Wilkes, President and CEO of the Building Industry and Land Development Association. Welcome to your morning.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity.
So to bring everyone up to speed, the Liberals have promised to launch a new agency that's going to get the federal government back into the business of building homes. That's from them. During the Second World War, the Wartime Housing Corporation built tens of thousands of affordable homes. They also provided financing for people to buy those homes. You say that Canada doesn't need a similar agency. Why is that the case?
Yeah, so Anne-Marie, the focus on housing is one that we welcome. It's much needed. I'll frame the discussion with 3 or 4 numbers. And my focus is in the GT area, but these also apply to the Lower Mainland. Sales are down 85% on a 10-year average. Starts, according to CMHC, are at historic lows, both for March and April. We're looking at a real supply crunch in 27 and 28, and we're seeing people leaving our large urban areas because of affordability challenges. The federal Liberal platform and now the government's promises had many components to it, one of which, as you mentioned, was a public builder. We don't think a public builder is necessary. We think the shortage that we've experienced is not because of lack of people and the ability to build housing. We think it's because of some of the constraints that are in place to get that housing brought to market.
Is also a concern, though, perhaps maybe that it puts more money away from the private sector and puts it in the control of the public sector?
No, I don't think that is the focus, respectfully. I think really the challenge is, and we share the goal and we share the commitment that the federal government has to get more housing built. Certainly, there is no doubt that we require more housing. We just don't think a public builder is the right way to go. We do think the private sector should be partnering with the federal government and other levels of government to get housing built. That is the focus. We need more housing for the people that want to live here in the GTA and in Lower Mainland and across Canada. And a public builder, in our opinion, isn't necessarily part of the solution, but partnering with the private sector, providing federal lands by building infrastructure, by removing some of the barriers and the cost to build challenges that we have, that's where the focus should be, one of collaboration and cooperation.
Well, let's talk about those barriers, because we've done several stories on housing, and that seems to always be the bottleneck, is the red tape and the paperwork. The Liberals say they're going to work with the provinces to cut municipal development charges in half for multi-unit homes. What does that do to speed up home building?
The major challenge that our industry is fighting in delivering new homes for Canadians is the cost to build. It just costs too much to build, and the market can't absorb those costs. So we welcome that focus on reducing what are called development charges, or taxes that are put on new homes. We've seen that from municipal governments. We've seen that here in Ontario on Monday from the provincial government. And the federal government, working with all levels of their partners at municipal and provincial level, is really a step in the right direction. We have some suggestions for the federal government that it be on all forms of housing, just not on multi-unit or apartment, and that the cut become one of a permanent in nature so that we can structurally adjust the challenges we're seeing in the cost to build prices that we're experiencing.
For first-time home buyers, the Liberals are promising to remove the GST off of homes that are less than $1 million. And you have said that Ottawa should expand eligibility to include all home buyers. Who does that benefit?
We welcome the focus on GST. It's been long overdue. This program was initially put in place in 1991, where there were taxes on new homes. So we applaud the federal government for the focus. We believe that $1 million and under is a threshold that doesn't make sense for large urban areas. When we look at the GTA, the average selling price is about $1.5 million. So it really doesn't apply in those areas where costs are higher than that $1 million. Also, first-time home buyers make up a very small portion of new home buyers. So our suggestion is to make it applicable to all buyers of new homes, as it was originally back in 1991. And it's on the first million, not those houses $1 million and below. So some tweaks to that program that we believe would make it more impactful and seriously address the affordability challenges that we're seeing in the market.
All of these promises are now the responsibility of Canada's new housing minister. Newly elected MP and now housing minister Gregor Robertson said this week that increasing supply should be the focus. As somebody who's in the business of building that new supply, what do you think?
I agree, and it should be supply of all forms. And we believe that by an effective change, and that's where we really are. We have a recognition that we need to change the parameters that affect home building and affect people's ability to buy new housing. Those are the changes, but it needs to be the right change. It needs to be an HST program that applies to all Canadians, just not a select cohort. We need to reduce the cost to build, which is why we welcome the focus on DCs at all three levels of government. And we really need a culture change, and we're beginning to see that, where people are looking to understand that we need to speed through approvals. We need to get product to the market. So complete agreement on the need to bring more supply. It needs to be housings of all types, and we need to reduce the challenges we're seeing around cost to build.
Thanks for joining us this morning, Dave Wilkes, President and CEO of the Building Industry and Land Development Association. Good to have you.
Thank you very much. Go Leafs.
If you like that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.